Hi, hello, and welcome to today's webinar. We'll get started right now. Today we have a product release webinar called Live Maps V10, more than just SCOM. For those who don't know me, I'm Matthew Carr, Director of Strategic Alliances at Savision, and today I'm joined by Justin Borrichter, our regular presenter and Technical Manager at Savision.
Hi, hello everyone.
So yeah, let's quickly move on to today's agenda and what we're going to be discussing. Okay, so for those of you who weren't lucky enough to attend Ignite last week in Orlando, we have a short update from Microsoft Ignite and the System Center session in particular, just to give you some brief highlights. After that, Justin will present a short background of Savision, explaining the genesis of Live Maps over the years and why we've come where we are today to version 10. Then Justin's going to dive into all the cool new features we have to show, centered around the four main elements of Savision, which are on dashboards, service-oriented monitoring, alert management and automation, and finally unifying all of your disparate data sources. Then at the end of the webinar, I will go over our simple pricing and licensing model as Savision now moves beyond SCOM. Okay, so quickly, some interesting information that came out of Ignite. I think the session was Thursday of last week, and for those of you who didn't catch it, what were the key takeaways from this session? Well, actually, it was interesting to see there was a huge interest within the Microsoft community, and the System Center session itself was attended by over 2,000 people, and it was the second best attended session after the Windows Server 2019 session. So clearly, there's a lot of curiosity in what was going to be presented and what was coming out of Microsoft. And what was quite important is, firstly, to provide some clarity around the System Center release cadence. So the main focus was on a new major release coming up, which is called System Center 2019. This is part of what they call the long-term servicing channel, and is actually used by the majority of customers out there. This release is considered their first major new release since System Center 2016. But in actual fact, in essence, this will include most of the new features that have been released in the new semi-annual channel, which started at 1801 and has new releases approximately every 6 months. Okay, but also just to not confuse matters as well, there is another System Center release called System Center 19XX, probably going to be 1902. Which will be released around the same time as 2019. Within the faster channel, there will probably be some new features that were not presented at Ignite. So moving on to the next slide, I'm going to focus on System Center Operations Manager, which the majority of our users are using. But there was also some major updates to Virtual Machine Manager, DPM, and Orchestrator. But quickly taking a look, an overview of SCOM 2019, and what are the new features coming in there? Well, clearly looking at the list of information on this page, there is a hell of a lot of new features coming for customers that are currently on 2016. Microsoft has clearly put a significant effort into adding new features and filling gaps based upon what customers out in the community were asking for. So you will get a new HTML5 web console, which has been delivered, meaning the removal of any Silverlight dependency. Also, a significant improvements where alerts can no longer be closed until the monitor is reset correctly will be seen as a big benefit and a big desirable within the community. Also, a big investment in Linux-based monitoring has been added, together with a range of new technologies that can now be monitored from SCOM. So I won't go into too much detail on this slide, but clearly Microsoft has put a lot of effort and new life into SCOM over the past 18 months, and it remains a critical part of their hybrid strategy. As Savision, as a trusted partner, we have regular contact with the System Center team in India, and they're quickly adding new capabilities really based upon customer feedback. So I think this is really great news for everybody who uses SCOM today and wants to do more with the products, that they're really delivering so many new features. So if you want to see more information about this, the webinar is available on demand from Ignite at the below URL. But overall, it's a great step from Microsoft, and we saw it was very well received last week by the people at Ignite. Okay, so after that quick Ignite update, where Savision also showcased our Live Maps V10 release for the community, I'm going to now pass you over to Justin to show you all the cool stuff that we've been working on as well.
Hi, thanks for that, Matthew. Okay, why Live Maps version 10 at this stage, and what will it bring for us? So before I go into that, I just wanted to take a little bit of a trip down what Savision has been doing over the last couple of years and where we focused on. So as you can see, we've had consistent releases based on regular requests from customers. So we're ahead of the curve on a lot of the requests. We've been basing our releases and our products solely on Operations Manager with the main goals of enabling easy sharing of technical dashboards to business on any device. So basically translating the technical data into easy to understand non-technical dashboards. Giving control of the alert noise coming from SCOM. These were the fundamentals of the product. Giving context to the alert so that you know which one is the higher priority, what they group together. And for those of you who know our product, introduced business service management so that you could see which services were affected by it. Lowering the SCOM maintenance requirements, we gave a very good UI experience for administrators. If you haven't tried it out, try it out today. The authoring console is drag and drop WYSIWYG experience and does allow you to automate a lot of the actions to control the SCOM data as well. As recently as well as in the release from version 8 with Object Explorer, we did a deeper dive on the technical layers for faster resolution based on feedback we had from customers. They just wanted to get to the root cause, get some paragraphs, get some graphs out there, just understand what was going on. Recently, we've started with our version 10 release, and version 8 had a few glimpses of it, looking into how we can extend that information, not just from SCOM, but other sources as well, through a SQL and a Powershell query widget, which allow you to take the data outside of SCOM, convert it into something that looks like a Live Maps SCOM front end, and apply it next to the data there. So we're taking giant leaps. We've always come from this background. This is where we've been going into, and that is the releases we have. The reason why we did that, starting so long ago, is that we had lots of customers with lots of information in monitoring that potentially could generate lots of noise out to various teams. And there was a lot of finger pointing going on. There was a lot of, is this your problem, my problem, it's someone else's team's problem, when actually there was a quicker and easier understanding with it to be able to group that data together and give it context. So simple as, all of these alerts and all of these components apply to my servers or components that support Exchange or CRM or telephone. So that's what we've been doing over the last couple of years with System Center Operations Manager. But during all of those connects with our customers and our current customers, we keep on getting the conversation to say, well, you do a really good job on that from Operations Manager, but how about all this other data that's in my environment today that could really benefit me from understanding what is the problem? It's no longer finger pointing within IT infrastructure. It's now going outside of the teams and trying to get that data and trying to relate it so that you can have actionable conversations with people as to what is causing the problem. So as you can see, the scope grows. We've applied a couple of years ago a Gartner model to our belief, how we help IT monitoring teams move from awareness to actual business alignment. Our products come in to make that highly customizable, easy to share dashboards, which starts getting commitment from other teams, making them proactive on it so you can start fixing problems before they become a problem for the business, as well as starting to do forecasting and extra information. This is actually lifted from a presentation we used to do a couple of years ago and is still relevant today. The underlying features underneath is how we motivate a lot of our businesses to get to that area. And what we've noticed is the further down we get down the chain, the more service line you get, the more the conversations become not about how my piece of the puzzle is working, but more about how is the complete picture of the puzzle. So with that in mind, what we've done is with Live Maps version 10, taken that to a next level. So currently within Savision, we have based our solution and our strategy moving forward on these four main pillars: dashboarding, service monitoring, alert management, and unify. I'm just going to focus in a little bit on dashboarding, for example. So we do easy to build real-time IT dashboards. That's what we're famous for. Here are a few examples you can see on the screen. Click your data together, get access to it. In version 10, we've improved that experience faster, threefold for all the customers we've got. If you haven't already upgraded to version 10, I'd highly recommend it. You have the ability within version 10 to look at your old existing dashboards next to the newer versions of it, and you can actually run timed loads on it. And we have not seen a customer slow down at all on the new dashboards. And in fact, when you get the alert management tool in there, you will start seeing the new caching system we have, which really speeds that up. Improved GUI authoring and control. So we've got lots of requests from customers to come in and be able to visually see the results of their widgets instead of waiting for that to display upon queries. So what we did in the past was with the WYSIWYG, you could drag and drop and see your results before saving it. That same experience we brought into our front web end, and now we're expanding that out. So there is a much more improved authoring experience. And based on feedback, we're also giving people the ability to target rules instead of actual objects, which is historically what we've looked at. So it does open up a lot of the in-house monitoring within SCOM. Introducing user localized changes. So this was a request. I'll get to show it to you shortly, but this was a request from our users to be able to give the end user of the dashboards the ability to change the information. So the admin didn't have to be called in to replace stuff on the dashboard. What now the design is that you deliver the content and the user can adjust how he wants to see it. So if he doesn't want a pie chart, he can have a line graph or a bar chart or a top next or just heat boxes, for example. We've removed the refresh lag. For those of you who do know the product, that would be a white screen that would occasionally happen on your large screens, and it would force you to look at it until it loaded. That's been removed completely out of the product, as promised years ago. Now it will stay in place, and each one of the widgets are responsible to pull their own lag, which really does speed up the experience for it. The ability to go off screen. We are seeing lots more customers using our product outside of just a large screen interface experience. So we have fielded a lot of questions, say, hey, look, on my mobile phone, I can scroll down with a fat finger, or on my mouse, I can get access to it more. So can I show more data on the dashboard? Because of the improved UI and all the experiences we have the ability to pull the data faster against SCOM than we've ever done before. So we have unlocked this ability. So you can build scrollable dashboards now, so it doesn't have to all be fitted on the screen. Obviously, be aware that large screens don't scroll for themselves, unless you guys have some really cool tech that we'd like to get our hands on. And of course, SQL and Powershell to the max, where in version 8 we started introducing a lot of the concepts. That grew tremendously in our customer base, and the possibilities with it have expanded. So I'm not going to dive into all of the products, all of the components we have in there, but I just want to show you, the highlights of the additional changes that we have with that. So I go into our new front end and look at Demo Europe and pull out a single computer. You can already start seeing the speed at which I can now navigate through some of the systems. So I'm going to pick out one that's got a problem, dive down and lock into that system in Live Maps version 10. You may have noticed, for those of you with keen eyes, that we actually do hide now the servers. So a lot of admins have asked for that as well. So you don't actually have to share with the user what server they're logging into if you're still using the forms authentication or go external. Now, Live Maps gives you automatically these dashboards out of the box. This was the user interface we introduced in version 8 that a lot of people really liked. This was the introduction of a lot of the new controls that we had, the ability for us to quickly jump through information and grab overviews and data that was, historically really hard to pull up. So in context of what you're looking at. So you can already start seeing speed improvements. Now we had a lot of requests to then take that and apply it on a more generalized view. So that is in version 10, you have access to a new summary dashboard UI. So you'll notice, I'll just make a note on this for people who've upgraded. Version 8 dashboards we don't kill. They're still there. We are about to release a small patch on this one, which allows people to actually convert them instantly. So you can select your old dashboard and press a button and have it instantly put into the new code. And this is the new code, which gives you a user interface down here, allows you to load up the widgets and target your systems and go through a very simple real-time user interface of what you're about to show. I'm not going to go into too much details with this. If you guys really would like to see these features in depth, we have a set of user webinars that are available on our web page to show you that. I'll just show you the real time of this by grabbing Windows computers, historically, one of the worst targets to target in SCOM, and in real time you'll get to see the full list here. Hit add, and you can do a drag and drop experience now with it, and instantly pull out the data. And you can get carried away with this. These become live dashboards, so if you do want to drill down into Link, that server that has a problem, again, I end up in there. I don't have to worry and think about that. So we're taking a lot of the connection, a lot of the problem issues away from developing dashboards. Again, fluid, quick, where we're going for. You can really get into, really kitting out your dashboard so you can get a complete overview. Here are some ideas. Some of these are actually the SQL query widgets hidden underneath, where you can give the user interface the ability to swap around. So I'm not in administration mode right now. That padlock is on locked phase. For non-admin users and viewers, that is actually grayed out. They'll never be able to click on it. If I do want to admin this, it's a click open and I'm in admin mode, click close and I'm out. That's the saving process today. And this is the user experience where an admin has granted me the ability to change the data to show it in a way that I want to see it. And you can interact more with the data than you ever could before. So we can start diving into the graphs. Again, this is the new interface, the sleekness of it. All our existing customers who have upgraded have tested the speed on this one. I'd recommend you put this on there and see how quick it is till you can start shipping out dashboards to your users that make sense to help them fix the problems, for example. Back on to the next session, service monitoring. Now this is really where we differ ourselves from a lot of the tooling out there that proclaim dashboards for SCOM. We've been looking at this scenario for a long time, and we do provide our users the experience to not only group the data together in a service level, so what servers support this, what applications support this, what tests support this, but any data you have in SCOM around that service can be grouped together. How that ends up is a service map overview. For those of you who are not experienced that, I'll show it to you shortly, but allows you to see the impact of an alert notification if it affects the end user, the application layer, the infrastructure layer, or it's further down the chain in a supplier service potentially. So what we've done with the new version 10 is we've now grant people access through our new caching system the ability to ignore distributed applications within SCOM. There's no need for it. We do, however, support that. So in the next one, we do use dynamic groups as well as your existing DAs to populate these. That does mean if you have invested a lot in or are about to invest a lot in the features that are becoming available for the auto service mapping, they are usable with us as well. So if you spend a lot of time using or building groups within SCOM, you're incredibly proud of it, it can be plug and place into our dashboard for the service map now. So it's no longer recreating that or no longer forcing you to have to do our structure. You can place the objects that you want in there. It makes it a lot more mobile, a lot more dynamic for people. Auto correlate alerts and incidents to services. So once you've plugged everything together, we start correlating the alerts. Now that's a small thing we were very famous for in the beginning, is just showing you alerts around your service. We still do that today. What this is now carrying on further is when I start showing you what the possibilities are in the Unity banner. This correlation carries on into other alerting systems. So once you build your complete service map of 360 degrees, no matter where the data is stored in your environment, you will automatically see the alerts that just affect that system. So you're going to cut through the 10,000 alerts and be able to share the Exchange team just the alerts that matter to their system. Very famously, we released a connection to ServiceNow. That was, little did we know, something really important to a lot of people, and the conversations are turning back to that in the IT maturity model. Is CM2Bs are coming up more and more in conversations that we hear today. Obviously, the challenge is making sure your CM2Bs match and not having two different locations or spots that you have to actually talk to each other on or update. So we do provide the ability to model within our system and then push that out into more platforms such as ServiceNow. So let me just flip over to the demo on this one. Service monitoring demo. So for those of you who do load in version 10 or have had version 8, you'll remember the services overview here. And again, this is on the SCOM level. So this is just, a mapping of the components within the service within SCOM. So when we came down into order entry, for example, we can drill down into it and see what the impact is of an alert against an end user application or infrastructure component. And down in the bottom layer, you can add obviously your Visio diagrams to further highlight what the components are. Now, historically, this has just been on SCOM, so we do run into okay, but I've got a router, but when I drill down into SCOM and I look at the data in there, there's not a lot for me to look at. There's no performance counters here, for example, nothing like that. I have to go out and get another management pack, or I have to go and get us to talk to SolarWinds or PRTG and get that data in to make this a little bit more useful in a full service view. So what we've done in version 10 is given you, of course, the ability up in the service overview part of the alert management tool, formerly known as IQ, which is now a feature of Live Maps. So you now have the service map available here. Now, currently, it can just be your SCOM data, but this does open up the ability for you to pull in other sources from other systems, your APM systems, your networking tools. So if I drill down into order entry here, for example, all of a sudden you'll see the components as I've modeled them in SCOM, because I've imported this one out of SCOM, but I've also gone in and added more objects in there. So when I go into the alerts, you'll actually see that there are alerts open from another system. That's not just SCOM. So immediately I get those grouped together, and of course I can pick them up and play and work with them here. Something, just a side note here, as Matthew said, the SCOM team is now releasing in their webpage that you will get blocked on their HTML5 if you try and close an alert down and it requires a reset on the health state in SCOM. We've worked around that one, so if you do close an alert here, we will automatically go and reset the health state with the underlying object and close it out. And if it's not that, so if it's just a monitor, for example, then we will just close the alert and the monitor will kick back into green. So we've already worked with that from the system. So we're giving you a simpler interface where you don't have to train your users. No, don't do that. You have to go and reset things. We will do that automatically for you. Right. I think that was covering that part. Automated alert management. So now the key factor of what we're doing is grouping the alerts together for the services, but we've had a lot of requests from customers to just make the churn and the noise out of SCOM a little bit easier to go through. We know in version 8 we had some very limited releases, so a lot of our users have requested the ability to multi-close alerts, which is something you can do in the SCOM fact client today, just on SCOM data, just so that they can get a little bit more handle onto what the system is. I am glad to say that that's actually a feature in version 10, where we're definitely giving you the ability to do that and at a much faster speed, which I'll show you shortly. And plus we are giving you a search that is not only just against the title of the alerts, but actually against any property field in the alert. And that speed is incredible. So that means you can go through all your SCOM alerts or all your other systems alerts and look for something with a similar error code in it and see how often that pops up or what that's affect, or does it affect multi-systems. So, for example, if you load a new management pack into SCOM and you get a whale ton of alerts that are, PowerShell scripting because you don't have the right codes, you could search for all of them and close them down in one go and then restart from that once you've got the PowerShell script fixed. So actually on multiple ones, we've also introduced the ability not only to use PowerShell to read data from the data sources and put them in the widgets, but give you the problem remediation ability there. So if we pick up an alert, you can fire off a PowerShell script that you guys have developed for your system that then automatically goes and, let's say, empties a log folder. That is the problem. So if you're using a files and monitor management pack for SCOM, it tells you that your file folder has gotten too big. You can fire off a PowerShell script to go and empty that or back it up or do whatever it is you need in the right spot. So already you're starting to get remediation abilities. We've actually got another customer using this right now to do maintenance mode in all of his underlying monitoring systems. So once he does a change request, they go and turn off all the monitoring so he doesn't have to get flooded by alerts. So there are some real world applications in here. This is something that we're looking to you guys about sharing some PowerShell scripts that could be really fun for us to put in the product. But we've made an integration that allows you to run any script you own in the environment. So you can get your team members involved with this as well. And of course, smart notifications. So we have the ability for you to inform people about changes on the surface from a different tool. So they don't have to get flooded from just all the monitoring tools. They can get it from one tool, like we've been doing on top of SCOM with our business service management, where before, if end user turned from green to red, then you'd get one email notification, even if 10 alerts were raised because 10 tests had failed. You would get a notification in your mailbox. That now extends even further into this, and you can really tailor this from our system. So you don't have to use the subscription channels from SCOM. We have a much easier look at how we're modeling the security as well. Something that if you want to have a look underneath the hood, let me know, and we can inform you on that one. So a lot of our users that keep on looking at our security webinar from the user group might be really happy to hear about that, for example. So let me just dive a little bit into it. So the alert management side, there is an instant dashboard here, the home page, which allows me access to data. So I'm just going to explain a little bit of my system here. I actually have 2 SCOMs hooked up, plus 8 other systems from SolarWinds, Azure, Amazon Web Services, which means that when you start looking at these tabs up here, and particularly this alerts tab, I have a realistic amount of alerts compared to some of the systems that I've worked with recently. So I have 72,000 alerts. If I get a phone call from someone saying, hey, there's a problem on SQL, and I want to go and find just that SQL alert itself, within a millisecond, I've gone through the 70-odd thousand components plus, because there are more than that, and I get a short list of all of the SQL components that are currently on a new status, or at least what our search string has spotted as new. So I can dive through here and say, okay, that's got SQL in it and the word new, so therefore I can find the components. This is a Google-esque approach at search, so it's not coding like SQL, so you don't have to code this for the dashboards. You can literally hand this dashboard to a user who knows how to use Google and let him find his alerts in there. You can lock this down so that they can look at specific alerts only, but you'll find that they'll fly away and start, creating searches that make sense to them. Just to show you on the actioning, the multi-actioning, so let's say all of these SQL alerts need to be actioned up as an incident into my ITSM tool. I can do that by multi-selecting them and then selecting the tool I want it to hook up to, so ServiceNow in this case, and that will create an incident directly in ServiceNow with that ticket. It'll also track that incident and auto-resolve that if that incident gets closed down. How that looks like, I'll just fire off manually here, is we will go into the system and resolve those alerts. So I'll just fire off this button, and hopefully you should see a box come up saying resolving in the underlying system. If we run into any problems with the system or the user account doesn't do that, it will be tracked in the log. It happened just there. You can save these searches, so if you do want to keep an eye on your environment and you want to have a look at certain key factors like how many databases do you have critical, how many websites, there's an unlock in this dashboard now. So there's a lot of availability on the data that you can start seeing out of SCOM. So for example, the numbers of alerts I have in my system that are not linked to incidences. Clicking on this straight away gives me that list of 91 and I can start working on that. So already I've got channeled alert lists without having to create them for each individual user. It's a web page experience, and I can even unleash it on them that they can save their own searches, that they can come in at any time and look at the last 24 hours critical alerts. Pop that open and start interacting with that. So that could be from any system, just from their systems, or just from their services, for example. And that was demo 3. So the unified part, the pillar that we are focusing on, where we get a lot of questions from, that looks great, but that's just SCOM data. So what we're doing now is looking at an integration to the systems to achieve a single pane of glass. We've got a large amount, but this is where we're focusing on. Connecting to your monitoring tools from infrastructure, network, APM, end user, and security sides. Basically the who, what, why, and where a problem is. Allowing you also to see the connection with your incident creation part, your ITSM parts, and collaboration, so you can find out if other people know about the problem. Does the customer know about it? How big is the priority? Is someone working on it? So can you share it as quick as possible? And connecting your cloud workloads. So is it something that we can fix, or is it sitting up in public? What's the story of the workflows I've got sitting in Amazon, for example? Relevant for a lot of our customers out there. So on the integrations part, I'm not going to dive into every single integration. If you'd like a little bit more knowledge about that, please check our webpage out. I am going to show you from the administration side what they look like. So here, let me zoom out a bit and that will fill up a bit more, are the current ones with the release that you have with us. Every release that we do now on this schedule is increasing as we get more requests in here. We provide, obviously, access to the system is very simple, good. So if you want to hook us up to SCOMs or multiple SCOMs, it's just an integration to SCOM, target your server, give us an account to look into, hook us up to your Live Maps URL or your web front end, wherever you want us to allow you to drill down into, and they will have access into that. It's that simple. And once you've hooked it up, you can control how the data flows into the system. We count as if we were one user against all of these systems. No matter how many people use our dashboards, these are not real-time hits on your monitoring tool. So that's a big win for a lot of SCOM users out there who are struggling to handle the amount of users that are pinging their systems. I actually had a conversation with a customer last week who did a calculation that he would need around about 100 web servers just to scale us out big enough from the old Live Maps approach. And that's where we introduced him to this and said, well, this is a caching system that sits in front of there. You do not ping us directly, or you do not hit SCOM directly. So you're not putting extra workloads on your monitoring tools except for one user who reads the database out at regular intervals. And just to let you know, those users don't read everything. So this is the current storage on my system at the moment. And as you can see, even with the 11 systems churning out above 70,000 alerts currently in the last 30 days, I'm sitting at just underneath 2 gigs. So it is manageable on a database size as well. Right. I think that was the coverage of the features. As I said, there are some more in-depth if you want to go into our webinars that we have on page. I'd like to leave it now for Matthew to explain a little bit on our simple and clear pricing module.
All right, thanks a lot, Justin, for those demonstrations. I think we're trying to show a lot of potential use cases there for our attendees. If you're starting to think about it, of how you could actually use these different data sources, and what we're doing with this new release as we move beyond our traditional space in SCOM. So yeah, let's move to the fun part and explain how Savision currently licenses and prices the solution. So just as mentioned, it's pretty simple and clear. We actually license based upon the number of integrations that you use, that you require. So next to our perpetual pricing model, we generally offer now subscription-based pricing, which is an annual cost per integration. We've defined 3 levels of integration, that being platinum, gold, and silver, as you can see here, with an annual price either in euros or dollars. And by clear pricing, we mean that otherwise there's no limits. We do not limit on data usage, number of users, number of dashboards. So it's pretty simple to calculate. You just pay the fixed fee per year for every integration that you need.
I think what might be good to highlight there is some of you may spot the VMware connector. So our licensing is definitely a lot clearer than competition that's out there. So we've had that question a few times. Just to clarify, it's not numbers of nodes or environments underneath. It's purely the data that you hook up into the system to enable the dashboards.
So yeah, so here we show a list of our most popular integrations. Of course, if you see some other data source that you require, then we do have custom pricing available on request. And just in addition to this, there's our list price, but we do offer discounts for multiple year commitments and also multiple integrations. So do please get in touch with our sales team based upon what you require, and we can provide you with a customized quote for your needs. And then finally, for our managed service providers, we do actually have a separate price list available. So again, please get in touch with our sales team. And now, of course, we got to have a little bit of a special offer, this being Savision, and what we like to do
to celebrate our V10 release.
So, we really want to make sure that to get the full power out of the solution, that we know that most of our customers are already using this next to SCOM, and we want to get you quickly started on cross-platform monitoring. And so we're doing a buy one, get 3 offer in actual fact. So if you purchase one of these integrations listed below, be it SCOM, CA, Jira, Ivanti, Chilwell, or ServiceNow, then in addition to paying for that one, you will also get a 1 gold and 1 free silver integration free for 1 year. And the small print is obviously the purchase must be done before the end of the year. So you can quickly do some calculations. You can make some big savings on that. So I hope that's of interest. One more slide, Justin. For those of you who've actually not tested out our products, we did this very nice offer at Ignite that was very well received. We have some Savision printed sysadmin t-shirts that you can see an example of here. So for anybody who actually downloads Savision, test it out for the next 30 days, build some actually dashboards and provide some feedback, you will get a free t-shirt. We can send it to you by post to your home address. So if you install it now and get started with Savision Live Maps today, we're going to send you some free swag for your troubles.
Right. Thanks lots. Cheers, everyone. Till next time.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.